Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan, and this channel is dedicated to skincare for skin of color. So as you know, I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of color. So today's video is Be Minimalist and how to layer it for pigmentation. I'm also going to do another video for you on how to layer it for acne. And I've also done another video for you on Be Minimalist, which are the ones I would purchase and the ones I would avoid. Just so you know, none of my videos have ever been sponsored and they will never be sponsored. I say that this is my love letter to my skin of color community so that we have an evidence-based resource that we can go to that's good for us or whether we should sidestep. Okay, right, so today we are talking about pigmentation. Now, the number one thing I'm going to tell you is that you have to block the trigger. If the trigger for you is acne, you have to get your acne under control, because otherwise, for us, the spot leads to free fatty acids in the skin, which are very irritating and lead to the red spots, which then trigger the melanocytes, and now you have a brown spot. So for us, we actually have a triple threat that happens when we have acne. We get the spot, the red mark, and the brown mark. And so for us, it is very important to tackle it head on. In fact, I would even say for our children, when they're in that pre-teen phase from 10 till about 13, if they're starting to get oily skin, it's a good idea to give them a skincare routine. I've actually made a pre-teen oily skin routine for you. So please do head over and watch that, because I want our kids to understand their skin, feel in control of their skin, and also I don't want them to be getting the brown marks in the first place. They need to control it right from the beginning and not to make any mistakes at that point. Okay, right, so if you have melasma, again, you want to block it. You want to block UV. UV is a trigger. So I'm sure most of you know by now, Dr. V's anti-melasma sunglasses. I actually created these mainly for my face. I get melasma, so whenever I go on holiday or I'm driving, this completely shields UV from hitting my face, which is very important. And the other thing you need to be really good with is your sunscreen. So with melasma, my preference is always going to be physical sunscreen, so mineral. So that's zinc oxide. The reason being it's broad spectrum, it's anti-inflammatory, which is important, especially if you've got melasma. I don't want any extra energy on the skin. And you get much more reflection than you do absorption. So with chemical sunscreens and chemical filters, it tends to absorb more than reflect. And with physical or zinc oxide, reflection means less energy hitting the skin. That means there's less pigmentation forming, less melasma developing. So that's always going to be my favorite. In fact, as all of you know, generally speaking, zinc oxide is very hard to get one that isn't white on the skin. So I decided that I was going to make one, again, mainly for my face and then for anyone else that wanted it. So here it is. This is just a sample just to show you. This is basically completely mineral, 100% mineral, and it's invisible. And it's non-nanotechnology, and it's literally the world's first physical sunscreen for skin of color that doesn't leave a white cast. It blends in with your skin and you wear it under your makeup. So I haven't released this yet. I just wanted to let you know where we're at with our physical sunscreen. I'm so excited, but hopefully we can make it available for you globally, because a lot of countries I know struggle to get a great sunscreen SPF50 that's broad spectrum. Right, Dr. V, so how do we layer Be Minimalist? First of all, Be Minimalist is one of my favorite brands in India. A lot of the places that they actually purchase their ingredients are the same places that I purchase my ingredients for my factory, which for me is just transparency. I just love that they actually give international standards with their inky lists. Unfortunately, a lot of the brands in India don't do this. And so it makes it very hard for me to assess whether a product is good for us or whether we should avoid it. But Be Minimalist is actually probably one of my absolute favorites in India. It's the one that I would recommend to my friends and family who live in India. And you guys are all my friends and family too. And it's just sort of a no-brainer. It's a great price point. It's transparent. And I love a lot of the products. Some I would definitely say to avoid, and I've made a video for you on that, but a lot are excellent. Right, so first thing I would do in the evening. I always start with the evening. The reason being that this is when you apply all your actives. During the day, we do not wear actives, or we just don't wear any actives that have a low pH or are irritating or any exfoliants. So in the evening, after you've washed your face, you want to exfoliate. I love the lactic acid. However, it is at 10%. I think some people are going to find that too irritating. I do like lactic acid at about 7% for skin of color to make sure we get no reactions. What you can do, however, is they do have squalane 100%. And what you can do is actually mix in 30% squalane with the lactic acid, just so that it's less irritating for the skin. It is a leave-on exfoliant. This is also why it's important to wear at nighttime. After this, I would apply your alpha-arbutin 2%. It's a powerful tyrosinase inhibitor, and it works very well with other tyrosinase inhibitors too. And you don't really get any irritation with alpha-arbutin, which is why it's one of my favorite for skin of color. Good. Then after that, I would apply your vitamin C. So they've got 3,0-ethyl ascorbic acid. It's one of my favorite vitamin C's, along with tetrahexyldectyl ascorbate and sodium ascorbate phosphate. It's an antioxidant. It's a skin brightener. It helps with the texture of skin too. And it also helps to boost collagen, which is something that we definitely want as we age. This is a esterified ascorbic acid. It just means an ethyl group is bound to the third carbon atom, and this particular molecule is water soluble and oil soluble, which is great because you get much better penetration, and it's also a stable vitamin C. So they do sell 2% kojic acid, but I prefer kojic dipalmitate for skin of color just because of risk of irritation. In fact, even with my dark circles kit for skin of color, I use kojic dipalmitate in this product, and before I could get my CPSR, that's your safety certificate, I actually had to do a 30-person patch test with kojic dipalmitate to make sure it doesn't irritate our skin, and that's not even kojic acid. So kojic acid is more irritating than kojic dipalmitate, so that's why I would go with the alpha-arbutin. The other thing to note is kojic acid actually oxidizes with heat and with light. And so actually, if you are going to formulate with kojic acid, you really want to do it in an airless pump that's opaque so that no light can get through. The way Be Minimalist have done it is actually in a jar where light can get through and oxygen is inside, so it's not an airless pump. And so packaging is really important when it comes to stability of formulas, especially when it comes to antioxidants. So I don't know how useful it's going to be once it's been in the jar for a while. So then followed by the moisturizer, I actually love their Cepicom 3% Plus Oat Moisturizer. It contains a lot of humectants and emollients. So it's got avena kernel extract, squalane, glycerin, and xylitol. The way it works is that these things are basically water magnets. So water is attracted to the water magnet, and then the epidermis, the layers of the epidermis, have the water magnets separating them. So this means that the epidermis is not so compact. When you compact the epidermis, i.e. when it's dry and dehydrated, your skin looks dull. When you separate the layers of skin with very good emollients and very good humectants, the skin actually looks brighter and light reflects off it more evenly. And that's why a moisturizer really is essential. Sometimes we get so carried away with actives that we forget just how important it is to have a healing environment for the skin, and that comes from hydration, which comes from your moisturizer. So this really is fundamental. There's no such thing as a basic moisturizer. Your moisturizer is essential. So for all forms of pigmentation, you really need to be wearing an SPF 50. Anything less than that, it just isn't going to be strong enough. The other thing is that with melasma, especially, 5 minutes of direct sunlight is going to make your melasma worse. There are no actives in the world that are going to be able to beat UV and beat the sun. I mean, I get melasma myself and I'm obsessive. I wear my massive wide-brimmed hat. I literally created anti-melasma sunglasses for my face, like I just didn't even care. They're so huge, and I didn't even, when you have melasma, you almost don't care what people think in terms of, the lengths that you need to go to, because your melasma really does affect your self-esteem. And so that really is key, is to block UV from touching this area. It tends to start here. 80% of melasma starts in this area, and then it spreads to other areas of the face. I would start off with this formula, with this routine that I've made for you from Be Minimalist. If this isn't strong enough for you, then it may be worth you upgrading to the Dr. V Facial Pigmentation Kit, which will be launching in February free on skincare-by-dr.v.com. That is very strong, and I'm hoping that this is enough for you, that you don't actually need anything stronger. But that kit has octadecanoic acid in it, phytic acid in it, ferulic acid, a lot of other strong actives for pigmentation. So hopefully this is enough and you don't need to do anything further. Give it about 3 to 6 months just doing Be Minimalist, the routine I've given you. If you're happy at that point, just carry on with your sunscreen and you're fine. If you're not happy at that point and you think you need something stronger, only then is it worth purchasing the facial pigmentation kit. Don't forget to download your free guide. The link is down below, and the links to everything I've talked about are down below too. Please do follow me on Instagram at the Hyperpigmentation Clinic and at Skincare by Dr. V.